seem like dudes that I would just kick it with. You know, like I would just chill with. So
exactly right.
Like, I gotta reach out and contact these dudes, man, because it's like it just seems like cats that I would just hang out with anyway.
Honestly, that's kind of how I look at it. Is, you know, being a black belt and then having the podcast, and the same thing with the speaking you're doing, just having the positivity summit. It's like the ultimate hall pass. You can kind of, you know, with jiu-jitsu, they're like, yeah, you can go to this gym, but not that one, and blah blah blah. With the podcast, they're like, oh, he's kind of pressed, even though he competes a little bit. You know, it's all good. We'll let, because you know, nobody wants like the bad Yelp reviews. So like, I'm not like the negative guy at all. Like, I'll never say, like, I don't put divisive stuff on here. I don't believe in it. I feel like there's enough of that in the world. And I feel like, it's for, as somebody has a microphone and an audience, like, you got a responsibility that kind of comes with it, and it's cheap. Like, you could just blast anybody and you're going to get hits for sure, but it's cheap. It's like, that's the easy way out. It's like, fucking the old WWF thing where Bobby the Brain Heenan, he'd cheat, you know, like the referee isn't looking. It's like, it's that cheap thing.
The Bobby the Brain Heenan. I haven't heard that. That's a good reference. I haven't heard that in a minute.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey. I grew up with MSG going to those wrestling shows.
You from Jersey?
Oh yeah, Tom's River.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's right. You're a Jersey dude.
Yeah.
You're in California now?
Yeah, just South Bay, like Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Just been here since 2005, and whenever I got here, they actually had jiu-jitsu, so I just, you know, went right for it.
Yeah.
I was in Vegas for a while. I was in upstate New York, kind of Ithaca area, Cortland, Ithaca, that whole thing. Way too cold. And then I came out to the Bay Area, and we had Gracie right down the street from where I lived, and yeah, I just took to it. I'd always wanted to really get into it more. I had done sort of jiu-jitsu, but in a judo class, or I wrestled a little bit in sort of junior high and elementary school, but I sucked, or I didn't have the attention span for it. I was like, this isn't. There's no steel chairs. They lied to you. Where's the ring? Like, what happened?
I can't blow smoke in the air, like, before I hit this cat. Like, what's going on?
I tried the elbow drop, but the dude just choked me. Like, I'm not really sure.
Wasn't working. So have you always had martial arts in your life? Have you always been a martial artist?
Yeah. My parents, like, you know how it is when you have two working parents, they would just sort of figure out a new babysitter for you all the time. Like, so they put me in Kum Sung in Tom's River, the karate place. That I guess back in the day, that was the spot for Taekwondo, because we had one of the Ninja Turtles, like one of in the movie was from that school. Wow. Like, he was in the stupid suit or whatever, but like
you had a Ninja Turtle at your school, your old school. That's big time.
Yeah, from the OG movie. I don't know which one it is, but they always made a big deal about that movie with the school, and I'm like, okay, yeah, there's Ninja Turtles. It's got to be cool. You know, it's got to be legit. Like,
yo, Donatello trains here, man.
Exactly. I think it was the instructor. I think like it was like Master Kim was actually, I don't know which of the four of the brethren of the turtles. Kum Sung, Tom's River, Ninja Turtles. See if this Google comes up. Learn more. Oh, here it is. Grandmaster Sung. He was in Ninja Turtles. Here it is. So Sung has worked as a stuntman, actor, consulting assistant on many notable films, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Karate Kid, and Pink Panther. And so that's Master Sung. So it's I don't know which of them he did stunts as or for. I was too young, but yeah, I mean that's my street cred was I roll with the Ninja Turtles back in the day. Like, that's
Renzo to step his game up. I'm like, yo, Renzo, I know you're like a legend and shit, but you're not a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
Like, you have to step your game up a little bit, bro.
It's like, man, so over the course of my lifetime, I can be like, I trained with guys like Renzo Gracie, with Half, with Renzo. I met Renzo. Renzo's funny, man.
Renzo's the man. He's awesome.
So it was a seminar up here. I think Charles Gracie, one of them got their something degree, black belt, like last year. I think it was Charles got his 5th or 6th degree, something crazy like that. But everybody was here. Jean-Jacques Machado came up. Wow. Everybody, and I love Jean-Jacques. That's when I'm in LA. That's the school I go to. He's like, he has that mentor thing where he has a just when he talks, when he teaches, just has this calmness. He's like so kind and humble. You feel that mentor thing from him. Like you want that, whatever that is. You want it's he almost has that thing where you sort of just aspire to kind of be more like that.
Yeah.
He just got that thing, that mentor thing. But yeah, they were all up here, and they were doing the deal for the promotion for one of the Gracies, and Renzo was here with Half doing a seminar over at Cesar Gracie's Academy. So with Gilbert Melendez was chilling there. He was taking part in the seminar, and it was gi and no gi. And Renzo showed some of his stuff, and then Half did the next technique. And in this one, it was going to be no gi. So he's wearing, I guess, some sort of shorts with the rash guard, whatever. And he's about to start showing a leg lock, a heel hook. And Renzo's like, okay, stop, Half, 1 second. I'm very sorry, but you have to stop. Half, I never think in all my life I'm going to see this. Are you shaving your legs, my friend? And like, he had like this, his leg was like silky, smooth, Gracie leg. Like he was, you know what I mean? Like he was shaved. And, yes. And, this is a 2 seminars in a row because the first one sold out like immediately because it's Renzo plus Half. You don't not go. And Cesar was there kicking it, and they were kind of messing with him the whole time. It was an awesome seminar, but Half gets a reputation of being like a very like short fuse kind of guy, like serious, no messing around type thing. And man, he took the wind right out of his sails. Like Renzo just like left him speechless, and the whole place was just dying laughing. But
that's Renzo though.
Yeah, he put his pants on.
Like Renzo was there when I got my brown belt, and the first time I ever met Renzo, I started going to the city. Like I think it was like a 3-stripe white belt, and like I just got my blue belt or something like that. I was walking out. And my professor started with Renzo when like his school was like the methadone clinic, like back when it was like just started like in the city. And so my professor George Cernak, and I saw Renzo. He goes, "Boy, look at this big guy!" And he like slaps me on the chest and like gives me a hug. It's like the first time I ever meet this cat. I'm like, this is the most normal dude that's kind of famous. Like that's a famous guy, that person I've ever met. I used to play with famous basketball players. It's like, this cat is so normal. And like Renzo's the kind of dude where he will literally give you the shirt off his back if you need it. Like he meets you with like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? Like after I got my brown belt, we all went next door to this restaurant. He sat around for like 4 hours just telling stories, like just hanging out and chilling. He wrote a testimonial for my second book. I got Renzo to write me a testimonial. Like that's how much respect. Like this dude he's such a great cat. People don't realize, like they get thrown off when they first meet him. They're like, there's no way he's this like nice, nice. And that's how he is.
Yeah, he seems really. I mean, he is very approachable. Just real humble. He was really nice to me. He took the time to come over and show me some stuff at the seminar. And I was a brown belt when I met him, but it's very cool people. I had my whole kind of morning crew because I've been teaching like the 6:30 a.m. class at AKA for like 6 years now. Like I forgot to stop, and initially no one even asked. Well, we had a couple students that they had some work situations and home situations where there was no way they were going to be able to make regular class, and I wanted the extra mat time anyway, so I talked to my instructor, my friend Alex, the guy that owns the Sunnyvale AKA gym, and he just hooked me up with a key, and he's like, "Yeah, no problem. Just you guys come in, roll whenever you want, and just if you want to show him some stuff, and great, whatever." And it just over time it turned into like a whole crew, and now it's a class. It's on the schedule. It's been doing it for years now. It's kind of it's like a staple over there, and it was just mainly we had a couple students that had kind of some, unique, or not really all that unique, because you have a lot of people, you have a lot of police officers that work the overnights, teachers, stuff like just people who just that they don't have the days, parents, right? One of my sort of most dedicated or longest sort of running student is kid special needs, and he's going through the years in school where that can go one of two ways, and he can't. The time with his family, he can't really compromise on the sort of balance between jiu-jitsu and family, and a lot of people do. Which I think it's almost a blessing that this is his situation, because I know people that go the other way. They put jiu-jitsu in front of everything. I did, and looking back, I don't know. I wouldn't repeat that. I wouldn't do it again. I love it. I more than a lot of things, but and looking back, you don't like to say like regret, that sort of thing. You sort of like live and learn. But no, I was married a long time, and I put jiu-jitsu. I use it like as an avoidance thing, right? I'm like, no problems at home. No, I'll train, then I'll come home and I'll be nice and relaxed. No, but what I did, I just stayed longer and longer. You know what I'm saying? So because he doesn't have that option, he has to take care of his kid. He loves his kid, whatever. So I'm almost looking at that like, man, if I would have had a smack in the back of the head, like, hey, go home, I'd have went home. I should have went home. You know what I'm saying? But I won't do it twice.
But that's the key, man. It's like, that's what, for me, it's like I grew up without a father, so my dad passed when I was like 4.
Oh, man.
So when I had my son, my whole vision was like, I'm gonna be a Division I basketball coach and blah blah blah. I'm gonna be in the locker room, and because I coach hoops. Man, I started talking to some of these coaches, these big time coaches, about like what their schedule is like. I was like, I wouldn't have time for my son. I wouldn't have time for my wife, for jiu-jitsu, for anything but just this. And like you, I do a million different things. Yep. So you're taking all that stuff out of my life. So I just had such a big shift where I'm like, nah, man, like that's not my purpose. My purpose is something completely different. So that's when I started writing and doing the quotes and all that stuff. But yeah, man, I get you on that. It's like you gotta make a hard choice. Do I want to, get this role in, or do I want to make sure that my family is happy and they're cool that daddy's home and I'm around. So that's why I had to just adjust my schedule. Like all the morning classes, I'm there. Like I'm there in the afternoon class. We have a good crew. We have a couple black belts that show up in the afternoon classes. I'm good to go. You know what I mean? Like I'm fine.
Oh, it's perfect. It's awesome because the sport or the art, what we do, half the people say it's a sport, half of them say it's like it's a martial art, whatever. There's so many more schools now. It's evolved. There's more black belts. There's more really great academies. It's fanned out to where you can actually get roles in during the day, and then you got things like BJJ Globetrotter and these Gracie garages and stuff, where if you want to find a place to train anywhere in the world, there's going to be people that are like-minded, just like we were talking about earlier with the podcast thing, where you can get the work in. And I mean, so what part of New Jersey you located in?
I live in Mount Arlington, New Jersey now. I live in Morris County. I'm from Passaic, New Jersey originally, but I've been in Morris County now for like 2 decades.
So you're up kind of more North Jersey, huh?
North Jersey.
Yep.
Tom's River's like a hour and 25 from me. Hour 15.
Oh yeah. So we had some family friends, or basically family up in Sussex. So that's kind of a little bit more north, but it's the same sort of. You're getting towards the top of the state right there. But
yeah, my mom lives in Sussex now. My mom lives in Wantage, New Jersey. Okay,
cool. Yeah, I used to go to Hamburg a lot. So you remember the gingerbread castle back in the day?
Way back.
So they the Halloween. This thing's been around forever. It used to be owned by some family of mine actually. It's kind of family / friends, like cousins that are kind of cousins, but family, close enough family. But yeah, we used to go there every Halloween. They'd have the haunt. They would do the horror thing. And oh yeah, oh my. So the haunted hayride, oh my God. Do you remember back in the day that Vincent Price had the haunted hayride in like Brick or Lakewood or something?
Yeah.
Did you remember what happened?
No, I didn't. I know they used to have it. What happened?
So in, I want to say it's Lakewood. So my brother, this is my middle brother. So he's born 1970. So he's 47 now, 46, something like that. I've been hitting the head way too many times. No math. I'm like Howard Stern. I count on my fingers. I got to get Robin to help. Fucking language, man. I got to stop cursing on these things. So my brother worked at the haunted hayride on the part with the noose, right? Where you'd go through, they'd have a whole scene and the executioner's thing, and then they would do the thing, they would move on. This thing was scary. I
Yeah.
mean, it was I think Vincent Price Productions actually put on the original Haunted Hayride. So back in 1990 or 91, when my brother was working there, they switched the who was actually going to be working at the hangman's at the executioner's station. My brother usually worked that one, and they moved him off. And whatever wound up happening, how it went down, someone wound up actually being hung and dying in front of a hayride full of patrons, and there's still a hayride going. It was the one would follow the other one, and the next one came by. The light was still on. The guy was still there from the last thing because they're supposed to reset. They're supposed to stand on this thing, and they would actually the rope. It would come. You'd have to pull it off, but they were actually hanging. But you're supposed to kind of hang on to it. They, I guess, changed rope. They did something, and the guy that was not usually doing this job, I think he did it one and done, and that was it. So if you Google it, his name was Brian Jewell, Haunted Hayride. So yeah, this is a big deal because at the time my brother was working there, and they were actually looking at my dad as an attorney, so we had the same name. It was Clinton E. Cronin. It was, and he was going to take the case, but it was already on hard copy. It was like the case was way too big for his firm, because it's like Vincent Price and, all this, whatever the end result was, accidental death, but it was terrifying because we were there. Like I was on the ride that went through, I guess, after, and they delayed it. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, my brother worked there, and he was like, that was his job, and they switched him out to do a different station. Yeah,
That's nuts, dude.
yeah, it's crazy. You brought up Haunted Hayride. Yeah, the Haunted Castle, which is the gingerbread castle, which is generally a much happier but equally creepy place for other reasons. That was like my friend of the family, or we call them cousins or aunts and uncles and stuff. But man, so. Well, it's crazy. We wind up bumping into each other. Like we wind up talking when I was working with my last sort of co-host on my other podcast that I was doing. It's because we're both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts. We're both talking a lot about positivity and sort of self-empowerment stuff, and we're both kind of anti-divisive speech. Like I don't bring up stuff that is all that divisive. I think it's cheap. And I think there's enough of it in the world, and I think there's more value in multiplication and addition and finding. I mean, man, I just did one of these Ancestry.com DNA things, and it's crazy how divided everyone is in America. This and this, and how tribal we are as humans or as mammals, whatever. This team or that team, Yankees or Red Sox, Celtics or Lakers, whatever, Niners or Raiders. But we're all kind of from everywhere. And I thought I was, blood-wise or whatever, compared to what I actually am. I'm like, I'm everything. I thought I was like Irish, German. No. There's some Irish,
Yeah.
but I have everything you can imagine. Like I thought it was a joke. Like they just took some paint and threw it at the middle of the map, and I'm everything but American.
Wow.
There's even like South Asian, African, like a lot of Mediterranean stuff in there, and I wouldn't have known. So,
Yeah.
I kind of want to hear a little bit about. So, in terms of like bringing people together, you're bringing people together. You got a summit for that in March 11th. So, there's a Positivity Summit. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's that? Walk me through it.
So I was about a year and a half ago. I'm sitting in this Tony Robbins event, right?
Nice.
And it's like 3,000 people, and there's like 700 people in this room, like off to the side watching him on a monitor. And I'm like, I went there to study him as a speaker, and it's crazy the way I ended up there because his ticket prices are way out of my price range right now.
Oh yeah,
but
both of us.
Yeah, out of my price range. But like 3 years ago, there was a lady that was like retweeting a lot of my tweets on Twitter and blah blah blah. And so I said, hey, you know what? Give me your mailing address. And I sent her and her husband like a copy of my first book. And a week later, she posted something and said, thank you so much. This book helped change my life. And 2 years passed, and she was like, if I pay for you to go to this Tony Robbins thing, would you go? And I said, I couldn't put you out like that. I couldn't do this to you. And she goes, as easy as it was for you to send me that book, that's how easy it is for me and my husband to send you to this event. So I asked my wife, and she was like, you should go to it. So I go to it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this event's awesome. I said, but I can do this. Like, I can do an event. But in my event, what I want to do is not just have, like, I don't want to just have rah-rah, where, you're getting pumped up, and then you go home and you forget everything. I was like, well, what if we can add service to it? So what if we had a day where we actually go out and give, food to the homeless, give toys to children's hospitals, and start adding the everything together, like start encompassing everything. Because a lot of people talk about what they're going to do, like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to change the world, but they're doing it to a certain demographic, or they're just talking. So I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. So I'm like, well, let's go out and do it. So the first day of the summit, which is the Friday the 10th, is speakers, breakout rooms. Later on that night, it's a network social, which is just going to be like a DJ's going to be a party. It's going to be,
Nice.
off the hook. I'm going to play raw bass and DJ Easy Rock, and I'm going to do my running man. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah.
And then the next day, that Saturday, it's a day of half the day is service, where we're going out. We're going to go back to my hometown. My father was a police officer in the city of Passaic, and they still have an award after his honor because he did so much community service and got kids off the streets. So we're going to go down to his park, they named the street after him, do a cleanup, and then just drop off toys at children's hospitals, hit homeless shelters, and just kind of give back, man, and come back and have a couple more speakers, and then everybody kind of brings it in, and a couple surprises at the end of the second day, and then just do the next one. So I want to do 3 a year all over the world, starting with the one in New Jersey.
Very cool. A couple surprises. That's crazy. So your father, that's crazy too. So my father was an attorney in New Jersey for like 30 something years. He passed away when I was pretty young. I'm not 4, but I was actually 14 when he passed away. And that type of thing really shapes you. So like in the back of my head, my dad kind of had like this whole, he had a presence to him. Like everybody respected him. Just he's real tall. He was like 6'6" or something. And so my sort of thing from sort of 14 on was, like, what would my dad say? Like, if I do X, Y, or Z thing, like, would he be proud of me for this or that? Or the, like, I try to like think of the situation like in my dad's sort of words, or like my thoughts on what they were, like based on what he taught me. Like, is this something I should or shouldn't do? And I haven't always followed it, to a T, but it's always been sort of like almost like a beacon, or like a, all right, reel it in, like, this is like, what would dad say kind of thing. So, I mean, and losing your dad at 4.
Yeah.
And then, similar also, working sort of, in law enforcement, it's all sort of, they're all in the same club, man. Yep. Judges, lawyers, police, DAs, like all this stuff. They're all on kind of the same team. They're all friends, man. If you ever go to the courthouse, and like you just see how everybody sort of interacts and stuff, like the guys that have been there forever, like they go against each other in trials and stuff, but like they're all friends. They all eat lunch together and go to the same bar after work. So, man, so that's actually really cool. So in terms of like, so the first day you guys are going to be, getting together and just doing something for the homeless. Who was it? I saw Paige Van Zant was actually doing, so I don't follow her on Twitter, but one of her sponsors is Lana's Egg Whites. Like Lana, I don't know her last name, but she sponsors a number of fighters from my team out here. And they were going around and doing kind of a coat drive in San Francisco for the homeless, and saying that some of the homeless people were so sort of bashful or ashamed to even stick their heads out of the tent, because, they would just like, hand the coats in or something. But they're coming over, and then they're raising money for blankets, because it's, San Francisco, it doesn't get, New Jersey cold in the winter, but, you get the water right there. It can get pretty cold. So that's actually, it's a really big thing, man, actually getting out and doing things. I can imagine there's a lot of talk, and then the takeaway from it, it's got to be, putting it to action. I know a lot of these things, like, people go to therapy and it's like, I'm going to do this, or like a New Year's resolution thing, okay, I'm going to do this thing. But how many of those resolutions, or how many of those things actually happen? A lot. Yeah. And, there's got to be a better way to go about it. So you've got a couple books out now as well. So more on your motivational speaking side, like what got you into that? Like, what was this going to the Tony Robbins thing where you decided that you're gonna try to inspire people, or like where does this come from?
So I started speaking about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I was on Facebook. I can't even make this up, Clint. I'm on Facebook one day and I'm looking at my timeline. And for whatever reason, like I'm reading it. Like I guess I wanted to be depressed that day. So like I just start like reading my timeline.
Sure.
And it's like the most depressing nonsense I've ever seen in my life. So I had this book that was literally like right next to me. And it was a book of positive quotes. So I was like, okay, well, I wake up super early in the morning. I'm going to take a quote out of this book. And just so it changes what people see when they wake up in the morning. And so I started posting quotes. And even the people that were like all about the drama and all about, the sky is falling, they started liking the quotes. So I was like, okay, I'm onto something. And one day I lost the book and I made my own quote. And then people still liked it. So I was like, screw the book. I'm just going to write my own quote. So I started writing my own quotes. And a buddy of mine came up to me about 6 months later and was like, dude, you should write a blog. I'm like, that's a great idea. What the hell is a blog? And it was like, yeah, you just write on a WordPress site and blah, blah, blah. So I started writing blogs, and the blogs became books. And my first book was called The Power of Positivity, Controlling Where the Ball Bounces. And I decided to go out and start sharing my story. So I was at first speaking in front of like 5 people, 10 people, 15, and it eventually started catching on and, it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I started going all over the place and speaking.
Just throwing it up on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned Facebook, so it's really crazy. I see so many people that post, on Facebook, social media type stuff, Instagram, just woe is me, like the world's ending, or just a lot of complaining. Everybody likes to go on about the election stuff, which it's a very divisive subject, and the way it's portrayed in the media, it's very divisive. I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I was young at the time, or just naive. I recall the president being like the president of everybody, and I mean, during the election time, you'd complain, and some people would complain a little bit about politics, but there was a little bit more solidarity. I thought, back in maybe the '80s or something. I could be wrong. This could just be me being young at the time, but there's so much complaining, there's so much negativity on social media. So, and I go out of my way to not do that kind of. I try to only put sort of positive or sort of encouraging messages out there in my own stuff. And I've had some comments like, that social media is like, it's a lie, or it's people just trying to portray like this idealized version of their lives. Like, oh, look how pretty I am, or look how good things are going. And I'm like, no, because I feel like you create your reality, and perception's a big piece of this. And if you strive for positive things and positivity, and you put a positive message out there, you're building that world as you go. Versus, and maybe you're 75% there. Maybe there are some stuff, some negative aspects to what you're doing to your life, whatever. But if all you're doing is propagating this negative or just negativity, that's all that's going to be there. If you don't try, if you don't project some positivity, if you don't say it, if you don't do it, because even if you're not feeling great, you put that positive message out there and then you strive for it, but maybe it reaches someone else and makes somebody else feel better. Yeah. By making somebody else feel better, you're already doing it. Like you already win. And that maybe your life isn't like 100% the way you want it right now, but if you do no work, if you push out only negative vibes, only negative energy to the world, I mean, like I said before, like I feel like we have a responsibility to do better. And what you're doing by getting out there, putting those quotes out, the blog that you're talking about, the books, 3 books, doing a summit now. So in terms of like getting involved with the summit, so do you have a venue yet? Do you have this? So how far along are you? Like,
dude, I got the venue, the speakers. I've got pretty much 90% of it done. Now the work for me on my day-to-day is just getting awareness to it and getting people in. So it's 145 seats,
okay,
and it's just filling 145 seats. So Clint, like literally every single day, I'm working on filling 145 seats. Like that's my, like I'll contact 100 people, 200 people, it doesn't matter, and just let them know, because once it catches on, once we do the first one, people are gonna see the value in it, and it's not gonna be I don't have to worry about like getting people to come to it. But the first one is the most important one. Like this is the ground floor of this movement that I want to start. So it's just getting people in and spreading awareness and saying, look, man, this is not what you think it is. Like this isn't going to be some, Richard Simmons sweating to the oldies pump up. Like we're actually making a difference. So it's just reaching out. Like I connect with people like you. I'm telling you, I meet people like you every day, and the same thing with you. You probably meet people like you like all the time that are just positive and trying to like just throw out that good stuff in the world. Like if the world was like it is on the mats, like if the world was like it is with jiu-jitsu, I mean you have Muslim, black, white, yes, Asian, everybody trained together. It's not about anything but your brothers and your sisters on the mat. If the world was like that, we'd have no war. It'd be a beautiful place.
No, it's true. It's funny too, where you're actually in this combat situation, actual thing where you're trying to choke each other and break each other's arms and stuff. We figured out peace. Like we figured that out. We figured out like we don't really need borders. We figured out you really don't need all this divisive stuff. You don't need it. You're just limiting what you can do. You're limiting possibilities for people, for the world, and you're just adding suffering. So by removing it, by sort of breaking that, knocking it down, on the mat, we're all the same size. You're flat on your back. We're all the same size. Or like you got a white gi, a blue gi, you got a black belt, a blue belt. It doesn't, like none of this stuff matters.
No,
it really doesn't. And we kind of figured that out. The sort of motto of our guerrilla jiu-jitsu over here, the sort of the banner, I guess we're all under it with one world, is sort of train with everyone. So that's sort of what Dave Camarillo instilled in all of us to do. And my instructor, Mike Prudencio, and I like that's what he's pushes. It's just train with everybody. If you're gonna drop in another academy, do it. Just represent your school well, and be nice. Do your stuff. Just be an adult, treat people good. Be respectful, and that's it.
Yeah.
And these aren't difficult things to do. A lot of people say it's easier to be negative than positive. I never got that. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. Like if you can look at yourself honestly in the mirror and like take responsibility for yourself, that's I don't know, the negative thing that makes me cringe. Like I don't want to be that. I think that's harder to do. I think that's harder to put out there. I think it's more work. I think I would have to try to do it.
Yeah. But I mean, negativity and positivity, to me, they have one really huge thing in common. They both need momentum to grow.
Yes.
Right? So when I go out and speak and I talk about positivity and negativity, I say, imagine like these old, back in the day, like Bugs Bunny cartoons. And how does the avalanche start? It starts with a snowball. And the snowball builds up steam and steam and steam and steam, and it's an avalanche. The same thing with positivity, same thing with negativity, right? When you're negative, you say, oh, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, which makes no freaking sense. And then you spill something on your pants, and then you get every red light, and then you go to work, and work that day sucks. And next thing you know, you're having the worst day of your life, and the worst week, and the worst month. Now you're having a horrible year. It's the same thing with positivity. Like something good happens, you find $5 in your pocket, the girl you asked out says yes, and the next you're having a great week. Now, with negativity, you got to stop it when it's a snowball. You can't stop it when it's an avalanche. Once it's an avalanche, it takes a lot of freaking work to stop. So once that first bad moment happens, that's when you got to squash that out. So when you stub your toe at 8 a.m., that shouldn't be affecting your freaking lunch at 12. It's like, I stubbed my toe. I'm pretty clumsy. Let me get over it. There was a part in The Hangover, I think it was the second one or third, I don't know, the eighth one, whatever it was, where Chow goes, but did you die? Like there was
exactly right.
All the stuff that went wrong, and he's like, but did you die? Like I always look at it, negativity. The number one killer of negativity is gratitude. If you look at what you have in your, like, if you have a phone, if you have a computer, I mean, if you're like, you are doing a lot better than 95% of the planet. Like you're doing okay, So I just look at the world and like differently, like you, and I try to convince people that it's not as bad as you think it is. There's always someone going through worse and thriving.
Oh, like honestly, if we live where we live, and we're on this thing, for example, or if you're on Facebook at all, probably you don't need to complain that much. I mean, everyone has tragedy. Like, the one thing everyone has in common is we're all going to have something terrible happen.
Yeah.
All of us. It's not unique.
Yeah.
That's just the one thing, and it's kind of what you do afterwards. And yeah, gratitude. And it's funny when you see people that are, in a lot of pain or just really down, depression or anything like that, knowing that they can be useful, or that when they're needed. So if someone's depressed or, very anxious, something like that, when they see that they're needed, that someone needs them, it's like you see all of a sudden, it's like they kind of snap out of it a little bit, because like, inside we all have that desire to be wanted or loved or appreciated and feeling needed. It's a very powerful thing. I think a lot of people just don't know really how to express themselves, and it's where the negative stuff goes. I think there's a lot more mental health stuff. I think there's like an overexposure to overstimulation in terms of like technology, and the sizes of communities are so much bigger these days. And I don't think that any of the how we deal with it internally has really been taught. I don't think schools really teach you how to deal with communities that are this size, or with the internet, for example. We talk about bullying, but nothing else, right? Like should kids at a certain age be exposed to tens of thousands and millions of people on Facebook and YouTube comments? And like, is it even healthy to be exposed to communities that large? At a certain, because I don't know. The science I've seen on it says maybe it's not. Maybe with mammals, and there's certain size communities where once you get like to this X+1, you start seeing weird behavioral stuff. Yeah. And that might be a thing, right? And maybe it's just we don't, as a people, really know how to deal with our inside stuff, with our thoughts, with our emotions, and it's at that point you have anxiety or just insecurity projected outward. You have like the old school, like if you have a depression type thing, it's like a weakness thing, or like they're crazy, right? But now all of a sudden, like, we're starting to realize maybe the doctors and stuff, they don't know as much about the brain as they thought they did, or we thought they did, right? And a lot of the stuff's being looked at a little bit differently. So yeah, I think just being thoughtful and just looking at empathy in terms of some muscle you have to actually, actively stimulate and grow, and, to kind of work out. It's like, I always felt like if I put, and how do you want to say it? If I were to put priority, or make it a priority to me that the comfort of the people around me and that are closest to me is a critical thing. It's like their comfort is important to me. If I make that a priority, then like my life will be better for it, because I'll be helping them, and by them feeling better, I'll feel better. So even if you do it selfishly, even if you're empathetic selfishly, you're still going to make the world better, at least around you. It's like, as you mentioned with momentum, right? If you come in a room and you're pissed off or angry or sad, you don't have to say a word. It's like, dogs can sort of tell when you're nervous, or like animals, like they can tell the one person in the group that's nervous, but they don't say anything. It's like body language, pheromone, chemical. I don't even know. Yeah. Right. But the thing is, like, we communicate without saying words. And when someone's anxious or nervous or angry or sad or whatever, the rest of the group's going to wear that too. Yeah. Versus if somebody comes in and like, hey guys, what's going on? How you doing? Right? You got a stand-up comedian on stage. Like those rooms are set up in such a way that, the laughter travels. They pack everybody together, right? And the guy in the back of the room, they still have to get the laughter from the front. And the way sound travels, and the way the energy and that emotion travels, like you want to sort of ride that wave kind of thing. But yeah, it's all about the momentum, and being that voice. Like you have 3 books, so you see it like I do. We have a responsibility. It's like it's cheap. If I wanted to get on here and just talk crap about whichever celebrity or whatever, MMA or BJJ thing, or just you're gonna have more listeners. Cool. That in the short term, the long term, you're probably gonna feel like shit. I think integrity is something. It's like empathy. Like these are things that you have to constantly kind of do the work on and be like, man, I could I do
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, and authenticity is priceless, and you're
Yes.
authentic. Like you can tell that from the first 5 seconds. Same thing with me. I had a meeting today. I was in Pennsylvania talking with two friends of mine, and I met them through like social media, and we talked for like 3 hours, 3.5 hours today. And one of the women, as I was leaving, she was like, "Man, you're just so authentic and you're real with what you talk about." I said, because I don't know any other way. I was raised by a very powerful human being. My mom raised 5 kids on her own since I was 4 with no money. So the only thing you got from her every single day was just real, like who she was every single day. So I'm not going to give you any type of mask or facade about who I am. I'm going to tell you who I am and let you know who I am. I don't know any other way. And that's the one thing I love about jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu will show you who you are on the mat. They show you who people are on the mat. Like the big tough guy that comes in that's really insecure, and he gets on the mat, and now some white belt is tooling him because he's never done jiu-jitsu before. You get to see who he is. You get to see him shrink. And that's what I love about jiu-jitsu. It's so honest. It's such an honest art. Where once we do this and slap up, then you get a special bond with your brothers because you go through something that is just like you said, like. You might be trying to take my arm. I might be trying to take your arm or your neck or whatever. But at the end of it, it's this different level of respect, because it's so real, But yeah, man, it's authenticity, man, is huge. And there's not a lot of cats out there that will do what you're doing and say, I don't care if I lose 2,000 more followers. I'm just going to be who I am, talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah. And the world's going to know. They're going to know. I mean, just like on the mat, if someone, as you just mentioned, if they come in there and they're the big tough guy and you can see the insecurity from across the mat. I mean, you get really in tune with sort of that sense that, like, not like as a predator, but like, because you're almost like in a pack, right? Like we're closer to the sort of the animal kingdom. I feel like being on the mat because, it's like we're in there with our tribe and we're rolling around. We're trying to see like who's the best guy. Like everybody knows in the gym, like the pecking order. Every gym has a pecking order, and good day, bad day, whatever. And the guys are in denial about it. Like, that's fine, but they're like every gym, like it has like it's like a pride of lions, right? I think there's the elder statesman, there's the up and comer that they're coming, but they're not quite there yet technically. But then there's like the top of the food chain where they're there all the time, and it's like you're gonna have to take that spot, like that. They have that sort of respect thing, So when the new guy comes in there, and he's wearing, his insecurity on his shoulders, like, oh, I'm the big weightlifter guy, and then he just gets beat up, just like you said, by the brand new, white belt or whatever that's been there just a little while longer, right? Yeah, it's all of a sudden it's honest, so the world knows. And just like with this, if I come out and I talk about something just to talk about it, just to push, that cheap heat out there, trying to say something, divisive or whatever. It isn't going to be me. I do things the way I do them, and it's if my friends or if they like it, if I like what I'm doing, cool. If I get 1 million followers, if a couple people listen to it, if I'm happy with what I put out there, I'm good. Like, I enjoy seeing these things succeed, but not everything's gold. I mean, not everything that comes out of my mouth is gold. There's a lot of these that, I think at the time, wow, this is going really well. And then I listen back or I watch it back. I'm doing a lot more video now, so I watch it back and I realize, oh, well, here's 4 or 5 things I need to really do better. I need to work on for the next show. Like today we're doing the Skype one. Is it going to come out perfect? It's going to be good. But like the next ones we do, they're going to be better, right? So it's just that process of saying, just like on the mat with jiu-jitsu, man, if something doesn't work, you have to be able to look at yourself honestly and reflect and say like what worked and what didn't. Competing's great for that, because for damn sure with all your friends watching, your coach right there saying, hey, and hopefully they have a coach that's willing to be honest with them and not just pander to him for whatever, that guy was bigger, you never know, whatever. He probably was on the juice or something, but the ones that can look at him and be like, man, you did this wrong, we got to work on these things, not trying to break the guy down, but be able to reflect honestly and say like what worked and what didn't, and what can we really do to improve next time.
Yeah.
And
that's part about competition. I mean, I never did a individual sport or individual art until, really jiu-jitsu, where it's just you and some cat that's in front of you. Like, I'll never forget my first tournament. It was like just me and this dude, and I'm like, yeah, my coach is there and just like my teammates are there, but it's just me, and it's all on me. Like, whatever happens, the onus is on me.
Yep.
Win, lose, draw. Like, it's up to me to figure this out. And I was training for like 6 months. And I did this no-gi tournament, and I was going against this guy. I somehow won the first match. I think I just laid on the freaking dude. And then the second one, I was going against this guy who was a wrestler for like 16 years, and he was in like the novice. And he told me after, he's like, yeah, I've been wrestling for 16 years, bro. I was like, yeah, cool. All right. Like, I've been training for 6 months. But we slapped up and like took me down, and he didn't submit me. I was just like pretty much a baby turtle. I was on my back like this the whole entire, like I had no idea what to do. And I'm like, I learned so much from that. I'm like, that was a great experience. Like, when I talk to people about competing, like I'm doing a kind of like a motivational speech seminar at this a friend's jiu-jitsu school of mine. And he wants me to talk about competition training and competing. And I'm going to say one of the things that drives me nuts is that people take this competition like it's like life or death. Like, dude, when you leave these mats, you're still going to have your house. You're still going to have the car that you drove here. Like, you're fine. It's like, this is the biggest learning lesson outside of being on the street and being attacked that you could ever have. Like, you're testing your jiu-jitsu. That's an amazing experience. If you get tapped in the first 30 seconds, or you win every match, like, you're getting a chance to test what you learn, and you can't really do that legally, and
Yeah.
without some type of repercussion, So I've competed in forever, but I mean, I've probably done like 10 or 11 tournaments. I went out to California, did the Pan Ams when I was a purple belt, and it was just like all the tournaments that I remember were all just fun and like really good learning lessons, and I enjoy it. Like, I don't go there and like slap myself in the face before I slap hands with the guy. Like, I love to compete.
Oh, man.
I'm just like, let's compete, let's get it going, and whatever.
Yeah, it's great because you have something to work on Monday, right? No matter how it goes, win, lose, or draw, you're able to look at what you did and say, oh, this went well, this didn't, right? Just like anything else. And then Monday, you're motivated. It's like when you get your new belt, right? You get upgraded, you get the promotion. That Monday, you're like, man, I got to grow into this thing, got this new thing to wear. It doesn't really fit. It's kind of, man, I wish it was faded a little bit more. They're going to know I'm a new, though, whatever. Now I got to live up to it. Like, oh, it's the morning class. I really don't see those guys that much. Oh man, what about this guy that didn't get promoted? And like all of a sudden you have like that anxiety, like all this shit running through your head, like, and just like when it's almost like that when you compete, you're ready to go. You're like, man, this didn't work. I'm gonna drill the crap out of this position. You're almost like putting yourself in these stupid positions you shouldn't even be in, just to like fix in your mind what didn't go well in your tournament the day before. And when it does go well, that feeling of like when you win, regardless of level, you show up on Monday, you got that strut. You're like, yeah, world champion, baby, at jiu-jitsu, blue belt, my age division. You don't even know. These guys don't, man. I'm gonna be doing autographs. Like, they're gonna do a signature model gi. They don't even know. Like, I'm just waiting for this. Like, that's, you have like this feeling. It's I don't know.
Every time I get a belt, like my tradition, like my main school is a Renzo affiliate in Denville, real world martial arts. My professor's Professor Cernak, and he's been with Renzo forever. And whenever I get a belt, he's been taking me to the city since I was a 3-stripe white belt.
Nice.
So whenever I get a new belt, the first thing I do is go to the city the next day. Like the next day, I know there's no fade. There's no like, everybody's gonna know I have a new belt, so I know the sharks are coming. Like, I know they're coming. And I'm like, let's do this now. Like, let's get this belt faded. Like when I got my brown belt, my black belt, I know when I came to the city, there was a freaking target. And as much as those guys hugged me, and they even did a ceremony for me at the school, Professor Zed did a ceremony for me at the school, and it was great, but I knew they were coming. So I was like, it was like blood on water. I was like, this is awesome. Let's get this over with and make it happen.
Oh man, so you're showing up at Renzo Gracie Academy, fresh belt. Everybody knows. Oh, so when you got your black, so how long ago did you get your black belt, first of all?
I got my black belt, I believe it's 2 years now.
It flies.
Yeah, it flies. And I'll never forget me and like six of my brothers got black belts at the same time. We were all classed together for the most part, and it was just, man, I cried. My son was I say it was 2 years ago. My son was 1 year old. My wife was there. There was about 50 black belts that came up from the city and all over that that knew me and all the other guys and my professor. And I got that black belt, and I did my little speech and said, jiu-jitsu, when I first started, said it was like being on the highway. Like, you're looking for that next exit. Like, you're looking for that next stripe. You're looking for that next belt. And I said, it got to a point where, like, I was around purple belt, brown belt, where I just started just driving. I wasn't worried about the next exit. I just was enjoying the journey and just loved the art. I love the fact that, I can get here and compete with my brothers every day, So once jiu-jitsu becomes the journey, about the journey, not the destination, it's no longer a sport to you. It's a lifestyle. It's your life. It's arte suave. It's like, it's what you do, So for my little 1 year old at that time to be there and see his dad get promoted, even though he had no idea what was going on, just be able to take a picture of him and like under like the sign that, a white belt is a black belt, that, black belt is a white belt that never gave up. Like, to be able to do that, that meant the world, because that's non-negotiable for my kids. Like, they'll be in jiu-jitsu. Like, if you don't want to play hoops, whatever, but jiu-jitsu, my son and my daughter will be doing as soon as they're able. Like, it's non-negotiable because it teaches you so much stuff about life on that mat. They're gonna definitely be in it.
Yeah, it's one of these things where you see kids get into it, and it changes them, and because it does it for us, it does it for adults. But I feel like the kids, they can learn a lot faster, a lot easier than we can. It takes us a while. You have to like break down pride with adults. With kids, they're really moldable. You see a lot of kids that are, you're pretty hyper, maybe not doing well in school, not behaving themselves, like not minding the teachers, not minding the parents, especially. Like, of course, out in this area, everybody works, so they're not getting that FaceTime with the parents, and a lot of it, the TV's raising a lot of the kids. It's crazy, right? And then just whatever you see on TV, mom buy me this, mom buy me the video games and whatever else, like so commercial or whatever. But you see these kids that are all wrapped up in that, and then they get into the kids class at jiu-jitsu, and that's how I knew, my one of my main instructors, I suppose on Instagram, is Alex Kababi, and it's like, he's one of my closest friends. It's like, once he started like doing the kids program, running it, just seeing like how good he was at it, and how much he loved teaching those kids, I was like, oh, this dude has to be a dad. Like, he's got, like, you could tell like that stuff was coming out. Like, he has 2 kids down. Like, he's seriously an awesome dad. Like, you see how he lights up, but he's transforming these children. Like, they come in, like, a lot of them are, just little bastards, like just monsters, man. And then he works with them, and like, you're like, yes, sir, no, sir, just all calm. The parents, you could tell they're all chill now. Like, you're seeing some of them don't have the bags under the eyes no more. You're like, all right, so this guy's doing his thing, and I'm sure he's a really good teacher. He's great with the kids, but more than that, it's that they're burning that energy off. They're learning structure. They're learning discipline. They're learning respect, right? They're learning about work, and for a lot of parents out there that are, they're worried about their kids being bullied and all this stuff. If you don't have access to jiu-jitsu, like a lot of schools have, wrestling programs, like get them involved in something like this. It develops them the right way. It toughens them up, but it teaches them about work. It teaches them about like really earning those meals. And, I feel like these are just things that as a kid, I wish I would have done more. I wish my parents would have pushed me to like do the whole sport thing more than, I didn't really get pushed to shit. They're like, whichever one of these courses, like, whether it was, basketball or whether it was wrestling or taekwondo, like this is a babysitter for me. Yeah. So that's all they were kind of looking for. But, when I eventually, do the thing and have the things, I want to make sure they're, if I can't, reverse psychology them into jiu-jitsu, then it's going to be the wrestling program, or both, right?
Yeah. That's big, man. I mean, it's like, I look at it, and that's the thing that drives me nuts with people that talk all this division. Like, most of the people that are, talking about dividing the planet, the thing that sucks is they procreate.
Oh my God, it's true. More.
Yeah, man. So it's like, just stop having kids, dude. Like, if this is your mindset, like, please don't have any kids, because your kid's going to hear your ignorance from when they're born out of the womb all the way up to, when they start trying to divide the planet and making just dumb decisions. So, you know, the thing that doesn't happen, Clint, which is happening right now, and this morning I was a part of a great conversation, is people don't know how to come to the table and have a conversation. You know, like, it's all about arguing and debate. Like this presidential election, the last one, like, it's all arguments. It's not like, hey, why don't you come to the table? I'll come to the table. We'll sit and we'll talk. You'll tell me your side. I'll tell you your side. And even if we don't agree, at least we can have a conversation, educated conversation like adults. You know, people don't know how to do that these days. It's all about, I'm right, you're wrong. And you brought up an amazing point in the beginning. I did a Facebook Live about it. It's like, you have to choose a team, right? It's either, like, you can't like the Giants and like the Jets. Like, you can't like what Republicans do and be a Democrat. You can't, like, it's just so insane. Like Coke or Pepsi, Whopper, Big Mac. It's like we're given two choices, and if you're not on one side, you're on the other, and that causes such division on our planet, which just absolutely drives me nuts. And it drives me nuts that people don't realize that choice isn't given two options. That's not choice. No. That's like saying, hey, do you want to get lit on fire, or do you want me to shoot you? You know, like, that's not a choice. It's two shitty options. Like, that's not choice at all. So we're just too brainwashed to understand that we're not really given freedom of choice. We're just given options, and you either pick one or the other.
I feel like we rode this wave of just sort of being complacent as as people in our civilization or society, to essentially take all these conveniences and basically, you know, trade in security, trade in safety, trade in your independence and privacy for just conveniences and just, you know, sugary, salty foods and technology that makes you, you know, gives you the ability to basically not do shit. And then you have the marketing and the politics and the policies that sort of ride that wave and make it even harder and harder to dig yourself back out of it. For the people that realize they're there, there's the majority of people that don't, and they're just in this matrix kind of, you know, vortex thing, you know, where it just feeds itself. And I mean, the goal would be, you know, education for everyone, food for everyone, housing, equal access, just water, food, shelter, and education is really what would change everything. But we prevent ourselves from doing that because we get caught in this system, and, you know, the TV or the internet or YouTube or whatever, like, that's education for the majority of people. And if those in power know that, it becomes really difficult to do anything about it because they're the ones that are able to feed the meter and, you know, keep it rolling.
Sure, 100%.
So
I mean, the one thing the thing that gives me hope is that there are people like you, there's people like me. You know, there's people like some of the people that you're around, like the brothers and sisters that you train with, you know, the people that I train with. You know, we're finding each other, and that's what gives me hope. So when people think that, man, there's no hope for our planet, I'm like, that's not true, because I'm meeting people every day that are doing some amazing things and helping and giving back, and they're not worried about dividing, they're worried about uniting, you know. And by the time we get to the 3rd, 4th Positivity Summit, and you've already had like 7 million likes on subscribes on your podcast, and I gotta call your 9 personal assistants to even get you on the phone. You know, once that happens, you know, I'm gonna say, hey, Clint, man, I remember back in the day when we were talking about, you know, what we can do to make a change, and now look what we're doing. You know, so I look at this like right now, what I'm doing, what you're doing, all we're doing is planting seeds. You know, in another couple of years, dude, where we're gonna be at, what we're gonna do, we'll be able to go back to this show today and say, man, remember what we were talking about? Now look what we're doing. You know, now we're making some huge changes.
Yeah, just by planting those seeds, as you said, you know, putting the message out there and putting in the work now and doing what has to be done. I mean, no one's gonna build this thing for us, and not the way we see it needing to sort of grow. I mean, there's a big need in the world for people to step up and say, hey, we can do better than this. Yeah. And not for the sake of politics, but for the sake of just humanity, and for that we could do better. There's so many things that can potentially divide us, and then those had to come from somewhere. Those structures, those constructs had to be grown somewhere over time, and you know, knocking them down one by one. If we can do that on the mats when we train, if we can do that on the mats when we're doing jiu-jitsu, we can apply it to other places, and being able to spread the what we have in terms of growing these families. Like, I've only known my friends from jiu-jitsu like 12 years max, and I've got friends all over the world now because of it. I used to travel a lot for work, Singapore, Hong Kong, Portugal, fucking Mexico, Brazil, UK. I still have friends like these. These are still friends that I have to this day. We talk all the time. Basically, I would pick my hotel room halfway between my office where I was working and a jiu-jitsu gym. Yes. I'd bring my gi with me everywhere I went, and there'd be a lot of times where there'd be no laundry. I'd buy like detergent, and I'd use the shower, the bathtub in the hotel. And I remember in London one time they call it like a trouser press. Yeah. So it'd be in the hotel room. So I'd like use that. Like I broke like 3 of them just trying to like dry my gis faster so I'd have something to wear the next day, because it's cold and rainy, and like you can't air dry a gi in a hotel room very good, like in London, So
awesome, man.
Yeah, but like, so for me, it's just a matter of like, okay, well, there's that magic I had meeting all these people in all these different places and making all these friends, and really just hanging out, eating, talking to these people, and like learning about their cultures and learning about their, just what they do. And what the mechanism to get me there was my day job, was the tech stuff, was the engineering stuff. But I can use that work experienced to sort of build this. And this can be the vehicle that takes me to those places. This can be the vehicle that enables me to go and make these, relationships, these friendships, and learn and grow and all this stuff, and, teach the world about how they're doing it. I mean, they're doing what we're doing all over the world. There's people like us all over existence trying to do what we're doing. And it's a matter of uniting them the way we came together on here to really just spread positivity, spread, an end to divisiveness, and, just figure out a way to make this whole thing rock and roll.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got a brother in California right now, a new brother named Clint, in California. And it's like when you develop these relationships, man, like you can go anywhere in the world and find family, through jiu-jitsu. And when you're, like you said, when you're a good dude, when you're a good person, man, wherever you go train, people want you to come back. Like I went to spoke in England 2 years ago. I was at Braulio School in Birmingham.
Oh, cool.
Professor Norbert and, guys were just like, I got off the plane, I took a 30-minute nap, and I went over and took the train over to Braulio's, and it's like, I didn't have a gi, they gave me a gi, I didn't have a belt, they gave me one of Braulio's black belts where I actually felt like it was like, I was like, I can't put this on. They're like, no, go, bro, like, so like, and it's like, I got to train, multiple days out there for free, and just train with a bunch of guys that were just awesome and learn some new things. So, you always have family with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's crazy. You go from just starting one day as a brand new white belt, walking into a Renzo Gracie school in New Jersey, and then all of a sudden you're in the UK, we're in Braulio Steamus black belt, chilling with a group of perfect strangers that are now going to be your friends for the rest of your life. There's something special in there. So it's definitely, it's been a blessing that I found it, and that I just have been healthy enough to sort of grow with it, and I'm just super thankful that I have jiu-jitsu in my life, and that it's done a world of good for me. I mean, you have to keep putting in the work. You can't just sort of I got jiu-jitsu, so everything's gonna be all good. Like, you still have to like go out of your way and not be a shitty person. But it's sometimes it's easy, but there's more meaningful things to do than. But man, we've been rapping for about an hour now. Let's go over it again real quick. Cornell Thomas is a motivational speaker. He's an author of 3 books. The most notably, Positivity,
Controlling Where the Ball Bounces, and the Power Me Army of One, or my 2 books. My 3rd book's coming out in April, on my birthday, actually.
Perfect. When's your birthday?
April 18th.
April 18th, and that's going to be on Amazon and Kindle, all that stuff?
Yeah, that's going to be on Amazon and Kindle. The 2 books now are on Amazon. You can pick them up, and or you can pick them on our website, www.cornell-thomas.com.
So is the 365 site, is that a different site?
Yeah, Cornell Thomas 365.com is just the launch site for the Positivity Summit. So all things Positivity Summit are on that website. That's the one I've been promoting all over the place.
So Cornell Thomas 365.com. People need to get on there. We're looking to fill quite a few, not quite a few. I'm guessing space is pretty limited by now because like this is it's going to be a pretty big event. It's in where in New Jersey again?
Alamucci, New Jersey.
All right. So this is the Positivity Summit. This is the place to go. Like you think it's Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is an amazing speaker. Tony Robbins talks about, all things positivity and how to get out there and do speaking. In this one, you're putting boots to the ground, just boots to asses, getting out there and doing good for the world. You're going to learn a lot, going to meet a lot of awesome people. People should definitely go out there. It's Cornell Thomas 365.com Positivity Summit. And that is March, is that 10th and 11th?
Yeah. March 10th and 11th.
March 10th and 11th. That's a week before my birthday, which is the 17th. So I'll have to, I'll go visit my brother out there for that. And so I'll have to stay a couple extra days if I'm going to, but I'll be there. I'll be there. Everybody else better get out there as well. It's all the East Coast Jiu-Jitsu people learn how to take that gift that you have and spread it out there to the rest of the world, and how to give back. And positivity is the way. We have it in us. You're on the mat. You're doing the right stuff. I believe that if you've been there that long, there's more you can give back than arm bars and triangles and cross chokes and stuff like. So I think anybody out there that's doing jiu-jitsu on the East Coast or that can take a trip to the East Coast, check out Cornell Thomas Positivity Summit, CornellThomas365.com. You're on Instagram as well?
Yes, sir. Cornell Thomas 34, and on Twitter at Cornell Thomas.
At Cornell Thomas. Cornell Thomas 34 on Instagram. Cool. Well, Cornell, it's been a pleasure, man. I'm glad to finally wrap with you, catch up, talk, chat, podcast. This is what the hell is it? Oh my God, 20th of December. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Doesn't have to be or. And Merry Christmas. So anybody out there that doesn't celebrate Christmas, all good. Think trees, gifts, elves, Santa movies, all good. I'm not saying or. It's and. It could be and. Doesn't have to be or. So happy holidays and Merry Christmas. That's all. And Happy New Year. And if people out there are going to do a New Year's resolution this year, write it down, make it a plan. I use Evernote. I don't work there. They ain't paying me, but I use Evernote. So I'm able to categorize my notes, right? And I'm able to sort of the little hashtag. I have separate notebooks for separate projects, but like when you make a plan, write it down. Write down the steps, what you need, the milestones, and set an end date. My good friend Anthony Baker says you got to set an end date. So I got to get you hooked up with him as well. He's Anthony Baker. He's ex-Marine. He does like these motivational Monday talks. He's one of my dudes out here. He's good people. So
I got to come out by you, Clint, for sure.
Absolutely.
I got to come out by you.
That's it. Well, you gotta introduce me to your Renzo crew out there. We'll
sure. Oh, trust me, for sure.
We'll wear fresh black belts and go get smashed at the Renzo's. Go get some food after.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great, man, for sure.
All right, man. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna go put in some more work of some sort. I'm getting blown up right now, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Anyway, Cornell Thomas, CornellThomas365.com. Go to his summit. Be positive. Be nice to people. Clint Cronin Show 2016. Take care, man.
All right, brother.
Later on.